He can get a medical card, but the reporting was these are foreigners coming into his apartment, and the connotation was that he was a drug dealer.
I saw one.
Mind your business.
Shh.
Mind you. If I have to hide, I should be able to do that without running into these foreign people that are coming to his home. Or do you have to live like this?
No, she should probably move closer to you. She should miss your call to the police that he was smoking marijuana.
The first one was May 23rd of 22 is when they're noted in the police report, and I have a copy of that.
And then he cursed you. That's clear. That's in here. Have been made through my security camera. He watches me from his windows when I walk outside.
Mm-hmm. And me.
I see your mother shaking her head, yes.
Regarding the stalking, I hadn't seen my parents in a while, and they came over to go out to dinner together. And they showed up. I walked outside of my unit to get into my dad's car, and Mr. Auerbach came out and said to my dad, and that's when that last video that you saw was him saying, "Leave my daughter alone."
But the truth, he had no trouble living in his apartment from 2006. You move in and you don't like the fact that he's doing something that is not illegal,
It was
but is
illegal at the
smelling
time.
up your house. Well, the first time you called was in May of 2022. When did marijuana become legal in your state?
I believe it was November 8th of 23.
It was November 7th, 2023.
Medical became years before that.
It says, from his perspective, madam, you had been harassing him. Do you understand that?
I have a medical card.
Well, everybody can get a medical card, but that means, it means you have, but it means you have one.
Absolutely.
Did you ever show anyone your medical marijuana card?
No.
Would you like to show it to me?
Sure.
I'd like to see it.
Is it dated?
Yeah, he has a Ohio medical marijuana registry, and it was issued October 2nd, 2021. Would you like to see it?
Thank you.
Just for my information, Mr. Rabak, the defendant has already told me why she called the police the first time, which is about this fight that you had with your then girlfriend. How long had you been with this girlfriend?
3 or 4 years.
Did she live with you?
She did.
Had the police ever been called prior to the defendant moving in?
Never.
And I have to tell you, I'm not necessarily faulting you if you were legitimately concerned over the safety of someone, but it turned out that it was a fight and an overreaction. She was accusing him of doing certain things in a very loud way, and he was fighting with her. And so I'm not going to fault you for being proactive, but you have to understand from his perspective, you were a Badinsky. When you call the police and say there's a woman and I'm fearful that something is happening to her, and it was a domestic dispute, a shouting match, you can understand from his perspective that was a bit of an overkill.
Right. It was just extremely loud, and the door was left wide open. I could hear the entire argument from my unit. And it went on for a long time.
What you may do is, if you're calling, you can report something as being loud, like playing loud music. They're screaming and we're hearing them. And it looks to me as if there are lots of units there. As far as you know, no one else called the police about this argument, just you. So you can understand from his perspective that that's a form of harassment. And you can understand that from his perspective, since he has a legal marijuana card that was issued a year before, and I'm not going to ask him why, because, you know, you can say you have an ingrown toenail and get a medical marijuana card. But he was not doing anything illegal. And then you say that there were people coming in and out of his unit. Do you have any video of that?
I do not.
No.
That was before I got the Ring camera, before the harassment.
What do you mean? So your concern was, and your reporting was, these are foreigners coming into his apartment, and the connotation was that he was a drug dealer.
I saw one.
That was the connotation, right?
Yes.
Yes. Telling me as soon as you got the Ring camera, the people stopped coming? He went out of business?
I didn't see people coming anymore. He hated the camera. And the one person that I saw show up at his house was knocking on his door. His old girlfriend had answered the door, and he was doing this like nodding out motion. And I was scared. I live, like you said, our doors are less than 20 feet apart from one another. And there's this guy outside his front door that is clearly impaired from something.
Well,
and needing him.
Mind your business.
Shh.
Mind you. If I have to go outside and let my dog outside, I should be able to do that without running into these foreign people that are coming to his home or running into him, cussing me out, calling me every name under the sun. And
Madam,
spitting
you
at
have
my
to
door.
understand, I'm going to tell you, and your mother is nodding and agreeing with you, he did not precipitate this hostility. I know that you feel as if he did, but he didn't. He was having a fight with his girlfriend. You called the police. According to you, he had people coming to his house. You have no proof of that, but they were foreign people. They made you uncomfortable. You called the police. After you called the police at least those 2 times, you wrote to the HOA asking for them to intercede on your behalf to tell him to move his cars out of the front of your building. You felt uncomfortable enough because evidently he's going to tell me that somebody from the pharmacy board came to his house as a result of complaints that you filed, and it could have cost him his license. It ultimately did not, but it could have. And you're telling me that after all of that, you think he should be a pleasant neighbor?
Your Honor,
What is that?
Does she have to live like this?
No, she should probably move closer to you. She should probably move closer to you. He's been living there well over a decade. He had no trouble. And he wasn't doing anything illegal, and he wasn't doing anything that necessitated police intervention, both of which your daughter sought. Do you understand? She didn't know he had a medical marijuana card. And I never fault people if they have a legitimate fear that somebody, man or woman, is being threatened. But what she heard was an argument.
I heard an argument and I was fearful of what was happening.
Well, that's not his problem. That's your problem that you're fearful. What you actually told me that you heard was this woman with whom he had lived shouting at him that he was a predator and that he made up a false Facebook page. This is his domestic partner, that she evidently found out, according to the argument that you relayed, that he was doing something sub rosa that was sketchy. She didn't say, don't put the knife in my face, don't point the gun at me, stop chasing me. They were having a fight. So you have to understand, from his perspective, you started it, and he reacted by being crude. But despite the fact that your mother thinks you're in the right, you started harassing him for no legal reason. That's from his perspective. You had no legal reason to call the police on him the first 2 times, and I don't know how many times you called the police after that. So I think you're absolutely right. I think you should not have to be in a place where you feel uncomfortable walking out with your dog. He's not moving. He's lived there. And if you find his conduct reprehensible, as your mother does, and as actually I find being cursed at through, whether it's through a Ring camera or in person, I find that distasteful. It's not going to get any better. So you're a young woman. If you're truly unhappy, sell your apartment and move.
I shouldn't have to move because of...
Well, he's not going to have to move.
But why can't he leave me alone is my question.
Just a second. He should leave you alone, and you should leave him alone.
I agree.
But you started it.
I started
Do you
because I
understand?
was scared. I live by myself, Your Honor.
No. The first time you called the police, you weren't scared. Well, you weren't scared that you smelled marijuana in your apartment, that the windows were open. You came home from work and your apartment smelled from marijuana. You weren't mad. You were annoyed. That started it. You didn't have any trouble with him before. And then the foreign people who were coming to his door, you know, that's a serious allegation. Serious. So, do I think he behaved like a gentleman? No. Do I think that you overreacted to situations that caused him to have to hire a lawyer? The answer is absolutely yes. And since it's not going to get better, since those things are in stone already, he's already been involved with the police, he's already been involved with the courts, he's already been involved with the board that governs his livelihood because of allegations that you made, and that's not going to go away. Because if he's accused and the underlying allegation with people, as you said, coming to his door and somebody bowing to him, which is the motion that you made, a bowing motion, and if the police contacted or somebody else contacted the governing board that governs his license,